coming to this event. We're a small but mighty group. A lot of the events that you hear about in the news, unfortunately, only cover the coast, but it doesn't mean that things aren't happening here in the community. So, no worries. But yeah, it just means a lot. So I really, really appreciate everybody coming out tonight. But a little bit about myself. So yes, this is me in the video here, but my name is Natasha. By day, I work at Salesforce. So I'm a lead creative strategist with Salesforce. I love my job. Essentially, I'm a professional storyteller helping to share with our customers how Salesforce can transform their business. But by night, I work for this organization called Asians Are Strong, which is on my shirt here. And very much like Victoria was mentioning, it's a really amazing organization that just really moved me to my core, and it's one of the big reasons why I decided to become part of the board. But I'm originally from the San Francisco Bay Area, and I think like many of you, the attacks on the elderly are what really just disturbed me. Just the fact that my grandma or my mom could go grocery shopping and I would have to worry that something could happen to them. I think a lot of us were feeling really helpless last year and kind of looking for a way to actually make a change. And as much as talking about it, sometimes it kind of feels like we're screaming into the ether. It's like me talking about it is not going to stop my grandma from getting pushed or attacked or shoved in the streets. So when I first heard about Asians Are Strong, I actually saw them on KTSF, so it was a local Chinese news station back in the Bay Area, and it was security camera footage of two of our founders chasing after some people who had robbed some tourists and taken their luggage. And I loved the fact that they kind of became their own heroes. They took into action, chasing after the situation and trying to help people that they didn't even know. And so I got to learn more about the organization, and they actually try to empower the community through self-defense workshops. So it started by leading these self-defense workshops for the elderly in different Chinatowns, but since then we've expanded just outside of San Francisco into this national movement in Chicago and San Francisco, in New York, all across the country. And they're actually one of the hosts of this Asian justice movement as well in San Francisco. So again, that's a little bit about me and my background. And as Victoria mentioned, I've also been training in Krav Maga for the last 10 years. So for people who don't know what that is, it's a form of Israeli martial arts. So it's used by law enforcement, military, police, and it was originally used by the Israeli military just to train their soldiers. And so this form of self-defense is very practical, so it's something that I really, really enjoy. And my mom actually encouraged me to take this form of self-defense just to learn how to protect myself, when I went off to college and I moved away from the Bay Area. So when I first started out with Krav Maga, I was explaining to Ashish, who's going to be volunteering a little bit. I actually did Taekwondo growing up, and so I was like, oh no, I can hold my own when I go to Krav Maga, but it was a totally different world. I almost cried in my first class. People are very aggressive, and one of my coworkers, Shiyu, is here as well. I brought her to class with me, and she can attest that it's really intense, but it's also very empowering. Today, I wore heels, I wore jeans, as I'm gonna do some of these self-defense demos to show you all that you don't have to be a jacked dude to protect yourself and to stand up for yourself. You can be strong, you can be powerful, but you have to know the right techniques to protect yourself. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to do a few just intro slides so that you can learn a little bit more about self-defense. I'll show you some moves, and then we'll do a Q&A portion. So let me just fast forward a little bit. So again, just to kind of set the stage for why we're here and why we're even talking about this, I think it's been really top of mind lately. Unfortunately, with Christina Lee, with Grace in New York, getting pushed into the subway tracks, just going home late at night. These are all things that I think, unfortunately, women have to worry about. And it sucks to have to constantly feel regardless of your race, that if you're a woman, you are at risk just by existing and by doing your daily things in your life. But you don't have to feel that way. It's going to take time to move past this mindset that you're a victim. But you have the tools and the means to protect yourself and to be strong. So I want to talk a little bit more. Oops. about that today. So again, I shared a little bit about this organization that I work with. Apologize. No worries. Can you turn that back? There we go. Yes. Okay, but like I mentioned, change is a journey, right? So it starts by empowering yourself, learning some personal safety. Once you feel a little bit stronger, that's when you can go out into the community and advocate for others as well. And when all of us are collectively working together, that's when we're really going to see powerful change. So that's a little bit more about just my background, Asians Are Strong, and what we're striving for. And some of our call to actions are, again, be your own hero. Don't be passive. You know, if you yourself see things that are happening, you know, you mentioned your friend who was on the subway, you know, like the hope is that other people are also going to step in and fight for you too, and so you don't feel like you're by yourself. And again, like we all need to be brave together. It's going to take some time to get there, but hopefully the session and continuing to be involved in these types of things will help encourage you. So some of the videos that you see playing, again, I'm going to be showing you some things today, but it by no means will become part of your muscle memory unless you are consistently practicing self-defense. If you have questions about like certain moves, you can always watch YouTube videos, but the absolute best thing you can do is actually go and train. So I'll talk a little bit more about resources at the end of like where you can go and like actually get self-defense training. But in the meantime, highly encourage you to check out our Instagram account, Asians Are Strong. So our founders are all trained in different types of martial arts, like judo, Muay Thai, again, myself with Krav Maga, but we post little snippets of videos of different self-defense moves that you can practice at home. And I specifically have started doing a video series for women. And so we have one video about what to do if you think that you're being followed, and then another video if you're walking into an empty parking lot or garage at night, like some of the things that you can do. So I encourage you to take a look at that. And then again, as we go into the self-defense session, Victoria, she crowdsourced some questions that people might have. So I just wanted to kind of preface this session by saying, this is what I mean when I'm talking about self-defense. Oh, hopefully that's okay. The very first thing is that you want to mitigate harm to yourself. The second thing is that you want to try and get control of the situation, and all of those things will help you kind of stall and go and get help. You shouldn't always feel like you have to fight back in a situation. We actually always encourage you to save fighting and for the very last resort. Like if you can run away, you can ask for help, that's the best thing that you can do. I'll talk about this a little bit later, but I get a lot of questions about weapons. Like, again, I've been training for 10 years and I still don't feel comfortable with weapons. So the best thing that you can do is to run away. And that does not mean that you are weak, it just means that you are safe. So just keep those things in mind. All right, so we're going to demo now. So I'm going to show you 3 things that I think are going to be super helpful. But if after these 3 things, if you have any other burning curiosities about like attacks or things that you're curious about, happy to demo some of those. But Ashish, if I could get your help. The first thing that I'm going to show is a push kick. So this is something that you can do to help create space if someone is coming towards you. So Ashish actually shared the situation with me earlier where he mentioned that he saw on the street recently, you know, this woman was just walking and this guy was like coming up to her, getting a little bit aggressive and like getting in her personal space. So this is something that you can do just to push someone away and create space. Or if you're getting backed up into a corner, this is also something that you can do to create space. So this is called a push kick. All right, so in this situation, Ashish, I'm going to have you fold these 2 corners, and then I'm going to have you brace. So when we do this in class, people kind of do like an anime fly sometimes, and they don't like brace themselves for it, so we always want to prep our partners. But again, for a push kick, I'm going to be wearing heels, so you can do this too if you're coming home from work. But the most important thing that you want to do is chamber up. So if you think of it as like a slingshot, you want to make sure that you're pulling back so that you can push as much force forward as possible. And when you're doing this type of move, you want to think about kicking so hard that you're breaking down a door. So that is what you're trying to do to create space. So I'll do it slowly first, and then I'll show you like what full force looks like. So you want to make sure that you're chambering up and then pushing it out. And then when you're doing it full force, you might be scared, or you might be feeling a little bit tense. So you want to make as much noise as possible. Like shout if you have to, whatever you need to do to get the tension out of your body. So, you ready? Okay. So you want to just scream, because that will also help get attention too. But that's called a push kick. And again, this is to create space, like you're pushing down a door. So do it one more time.
Yeah.
Ready? So again, I'm small, I'm wearing heels, like you can do it too. So the next thing I want to show you is a bear hug. So there's 3 different ways that you can do this. So in this situation, like let's just say a lot of women are scared, like I'm going to be walking in the park, or I'm walking down a dark street. What if someone like drives up next to me and grabs me and tries to pull me into a car? So if someone comes up behind you, there's a few different situations that you might be in. So the first one is, let's just say that your arms are free. So Ashish will grab me, and I want you to grab me tight. So in this situation, like in class, we always want to feel what it will actually feel like, so that you're more used to the sensation of someone grabbing you. So if your arms are free, the first thing that you want to do is base yourself. So think about, you can let go now. So the first thing that you want to do is think about, when you go to the mall, if a 2-year-old is throwing a tantrum, if their parents are trying to drag them out of a store, they'll throw all their weight on the ground. So that's what you want to think about as you're trying to like feel heavy. So go ahead and grab me. So I'm going to try and base myself. And as I'm doing that, I want to push my hips out as well. Because if someone's trying to lift me up, so if you see from the side, as Ashish is trying to lift me up, he has to be upright. But as soon as I push him backwards, it's really hard for him to pick me up. So that's why from this situation, I'm trying to base myself and push back at the same time. And when he's already bent over, I'm going to either slap the groin, and you want to use a full palm to get everything. We call this ring the bell. So you want to slap, because if you use your fist, you could hit his leg. It's not as effective, but if you slap, you're going to get everything. It's going to be a lot more painful. So you want to ring the bell, and then you use your elbows, and you can come up and hit him in the head as well. Okay, so that's one way, and then he'll let go, and then you can run away. So that's if your arms are free. But let's just say, your arms are not free. So he'll grab me like this. From here, you want to do the same thing, but you have to get this freed up first. So if you just base yourself, one thing that you risk is that his arms could come up and put you into a choke. So what you want to do in this situation is, if someone grabs you like this, it's counterintuitive, but you want to hold their hands as you base, ring the bell, anything you need to do to get your arms out. And then from here, in Krav Maga, we always say, attack at least 3 or 4 times. So in this situation, like, if I'm ringing the bell, I get my arms out, that's 2. There's still 2 more attacks that I have to do. So once you're out, if they're still close to you, push kick, like hammer to the face, anything else to like get them away, and then you run away. So the last step is kind of worst case scenario. If you actually get picked up, I can show you what to do. So my arms are trapped, and he picks me up. You want to wrap your foot and then kick up into the groin. And so in this case, he's going to let me go. So you have to brace yourself that you're going to get dropped. But then you want to square up. And then again, push kick, anything you need to do to get this person away, and then run away. Does that all make sense? Okay. And then,
What about the other gun?
so we'll get to that. But the last thing that I'll show you is choke. So another thing that a lot of women worry about, like, again, again, let's say that you're at a subway station, no one's around, and someone pushes you into a wall and starts to choke you. Like, how do you get out of that situation? So Ashish can apply the choke. So the first thing that you want to do, maybe that's not right. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to shoot your arm straight up. And the reason for that is because I'm trying to pin this hand as close as possible to my neck. I'm going to turn violently, and that breaks the hold. And then I'm going to come down and break it this way, and then elbow, elbow, and then knee and push. And then from there you can run away. So I'll break it down again. So if someone's doing this, if they're choking you, you want to shoot your arm straight up, turn violently to break that hold, come down, elbow, elbow, knee, and then push away. Okay? Does anyone want to try?
I'll try.
Okay.
My feet are asleep.
Yeah. And is there anyone in particular that you want to try? And I can be the attacker. Yeah.
What do you mean? Oh, any of them?
Yeah, any of these. Maybe not. You can try the push stick too. I can hold the pad for you. Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any? Okay. All right. So remember, when you do this, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're chambering up,
Okay.
and then you're pushing. Think about kicking through a door.
Okay.
Okay? You ready?
Anything with my hands around.
Nope. You can just
Okay.
hold your hands up. So you want to make sure that you chamber up,
Is there any place I should be aiming for?
middle.
I don't know if my foot can go that
You
high.
can do slow. Let's do it in steps. So first you chamber up, and then you want to put your foot flat against here and push as if you're trying to kick through a door. All right? Good. And one other thing that, yeah, awesome job. One other thing that I will say too is that I think the point of going to self-defense training is that, again, you're used to these motions of people like kicking you or hitting you, so that when it happens in real life, you're not just so shocked that you're stunned. And for me, and what I love about Krav Maga is I have a lot of inner rage. Shiyu makes fun of me because, have you all seen Turning Red with Maylin? That is me. I have a lot of fire inside. So when I do Krav Maga, I get angry. And that's what I want all of you to also channel to when you're in these situations. Get angry, get aggressive, how dare this person touch me? And if you channel that, that will also help you be stronger when you hit too.
Can I try one more time?
Of course, try as many times as you want. Get angry.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah, do it.
There's a chirpy.
Does anyone else want to try? Yeah? Which one would you like to try? You want to do the choke? Okay. So I'm gonna walk you through it again. So we'll do it this way. So if someone's choking you,
I'll take a video.
alright, so if someone's choking you, you want to make sure, yep, and then you turn violently. Good. I don't even need to tell you
One more time.
Yeah. So do it slower. So you want to shoot your arm straight up, turn violently, break. Yep. And then one other thing you can do, but you can also knee. But this would require you to grab someone and then pull them down, and then knee, and then push. Okay? Yeah. Good. Awesome. Yep. All right. And then maybe anyone want to try doing a bear hug? Bring volunteers. Victoria, can I have you try? Sure. All right, so just a reminder, so I'm going to grab you, and then you're going to try and throw all your weight down like an angry 2-year-old, and then ring the bell, and then elbow to the head, whatever you need to do to get away. Okay, so we'll try it with arms free and then arms trapped. All right, so good. Good. Awesome. Good. Okay. And then if your arms are trapped, good. Awesome. All right. So Victoria collected. But one of the biggest questions that we often get is, what if someone's stronger and bigger than you? So again, I hope just seeing some of this helps kind of alleviate some of that. Like, it is obviously going to be scary, like if someone is bigger and more powerful than you, like strongly holding on to you or hitting you or pushing you. But again, that's why you have to go and train, so that you can be physically fit, but then you're also prepared if you're constantly holding pads for a partner. Like, your partner might be a man, and like getting pushed or hit by someone in class will help mentally prepare you for if something like that happens in real life. Another thing is, when do I use self-defense versus running away? So I think all self-defense experts will agree that running away is always the best option. If you can avoid a bad situation, you should do that. And you should only fight unless you absolutely have to. And a big part of knowing when to run away is having situational awareness. So, unfortunately, like, if you're on somewhere like a subway, or it's hard to run away, if you notice that someone is coming towards you, if you can move closer to the front of a car where there might be more people or a conductor, where you can like push a button and ask for help, if you can get off at a stop even if it's not yours, all of those things can help you avoid a bad situation. So run away whenever you can, fight only if you have to. So the knife or the gun situation. So in this case, you should definitely avoid as much as you can. On our Asians Are Strong Instagram page, we actually had a knife expert come and teach some different defenses that you can do. But again, like, you'll see the founder say, like, I don't know what to do in this situation. And unfortunately, it's something that you have to continuously train. And again, like, there are certain things that you can kind of notice, especially with knife attacks. Like, we break that down in one of our videos. There's certain things that people do before they like attack with a knife. So there are certain tells that usually knives are concealed, and you don't know until they're like right coming at you. So you can watch this video to kind of get a sense of like some of the things that you could pay attention to, but again, like, you have to get trained. Like, no one knows what to do with a knife or a gun when it's there, but you can mitigate those situations if you're exposed to them more often. So unfortunately, I am not an expert with knives or guns, but Krav Maga does prepare you for those types of things. And then some common misconceptions about self-defense are kind of all the things that I just covered, that I have to be jacked, I have to, constantly be paranoid or just constantly on defense. But as long as you have the right training and tools, it can help make you more confident and stronger. But again, I can't emphasize enough, like, you need to go and train. So I'm going to share just some quick resources, and then I'd love to open it up for Q&A. But if you want to support Asians Are Strong, like, check out our website. You can also volunteer. We have a lot of virtual events as well as in-person events. And then if you want to train, I personally train at Krav Maga Force in the West Loop. There's also a personal trainer that I previously used at Underground Boxing and Conditioning. So that will help you if you've never punched, if you've never kicked before, just to build those basic blocks of, like, knowing how to chamber, knowing how to have the right fight stance, like throwing a good punch. So those are great options. And with Krav Maga Force, if any of you are afraid to go to a class by yourself, like, please reach out to me. Like, I would love to take you to a class with me. First class is free, so definitely come and try it out. Again, like, I brought my coworker Shiyu and her husband. It was great times. So definitely come if you'd like to get involved. But yeah, I'd love to open it up for any Q&A if people have questions. I'm happy to talk through like scenarios as well, or I can show you a few more things.
Do you have any advice for if someone sits on you?
I don't think I've ever been asked that before. Like, can you elaborate a little bit more?
So, like, I haven't dated since 2019, and I'm trying to date again, but I'm, like, really scared because, like, one of the past guys that I dated was, like, 6'6", and he sat on me, and I could not get out from under him, so.
And can you explain a little bit more? Were you lying down? Were you sitting, like, in a chair?
I was lying down.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Okay, so in those situations, again, you're gonna have to go and train, but there's a lot of different things that you can do if you're like on the ground or if you're like elevated. But typically, we have a video about this on the Asians Are Strong Instagram page, but you're gonna have to try and flip this person. And so rather than trying to, okay, I'm gonna show you, which will be a little awkward, but so in this situation, if you're lying down and someone is trying to straddle you, like coming up this way or trying to push them is probably not going to be helpful. So you have a lot more muscles in your butt in this situation. So what you are going to try to do is like, this person is probably still able to straddle you even if your knees are up. So you're going to want to do a bridge in this situation to buck this person off and flip. And so in that situation, someone will probably lose their balance. And so you have to buck and flip. So we cover this in one of our videos, but that's just a good way to get someone off of you. But then if you remember Krav Maga, you have to do at least 4 attacks, right? So if you're able to do this and they're still like lying here, like hammer, like anything to just get this person away from you and then run away. But the other difficult things are like if you're in a confined space, like a home, for example, like if at any point you start to feel like a little creeped out by this person, you should probably like text a friend and just let them know that you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable. Just say, I need to go to the bathroom, and like text a friend. So at least someone knows that like you're in a weird situation, they can come check on you. But yeah, that would be my tip for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Victoria, any questions? Yeah.
Do you have any advice or suggestion when the attacker is more than one person?
Yes. Okay, so we do cover this in Krav Maga as well. So what we do in class is like multiple attacker drills. So usually we'll have one person in the center and then multiple people around you like trying to attack you, and then you have to fight your way out of it. So in this situation, again, it's going to take a lot of practice, but you have to get used to one, being tired and continuing to fight, but then also knowing how to not waste any of your movements. So for example, like when you're punching, if I have to like stop and think again and then turn, like you have to be aware that someone might be behind you, but then you have to load up and do something from the front. So it's just a matter of practicing. But again, this is going to be like a spatial awareness thing. Like if you see a group of people and you're by yourself and you start to feel a little bit afraid, before even going down into that situation, like think about it, like should I maybe wait? Should I go somewhere else? Should I call someone? So that would be my advice for that. But Krav Maga definitely covers that if you want to try it out sometime. Yes.
Very great demonstration, by the way. And I have a question is that I noticed a lot of women will wear glasses. So what if at night we get attacked and then we lose our glasses? What at least we can do?
Yeah, so I hope it encourages you that I've been wearing my glasses the whole time as I've been doing it. I'm very blind, so if I lost my glasses, like I would just be screwed. But I don't know that I can really suggest anything in this situation. Again, you're going to have to train. So in Krav Maga, we actually do practice with our eyes closed. So there are situations where you just have to get used to like standing there, and if someone hits you, like what are you going to do? But it has to become muscle memory so that you can fight without having to see. It's more based on like sensing and muscle memory. So again, training, continuing to get used to the sensation of like what your body will naturally react to if you're constantly forced to use those muscles. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I was thinking from the beginning, they're not very angry. They just want to take money and your phone and your computer from you. But after you protect yourself, they feel more angry, so more aggressive. So from the beginning, without protection, maybe you go alive. But after they're angry, they kill you. So this kind of happen. What should we do? Because if you kick them, they will feel more angry. So definitely they'll do something like that.
Yeah. so a couple layers here. So one of the questions that we get a lot is like, I'm afraid to like react or like to acknowledge or to confront somebody. Like, what if I'm being racist, you know, or like, what if this isn't actually someone who's just trying to attack me? Like maybe they're trying to like ask me for directions or something, you know? Like there's that hesitation, but it's better to like protect yourself and just be sure, even if you end up embarrassing yourself, like that's fine. It's better to be embarrassed than to risk losing your life, you know, in these types of situations. So that's one layer. The second layer is, let's say that you actually do confront somebody and you know, you push them away and start to get angrier, right? So that's why in Krav Maga, the whole point of Krav Maga is to injure your opponent so that they can't continue coming back at you. So when you are doing these types of moves, Krav Maga is very forceful, aggressive, like you need to get angry. So when you're actually like injuring a person, like if you elbow someone in the head, if you ring the bell, you know, like that is going to immobilize somebody so that they can't continue coming after you. So you have to make sure that every time you don't have any wasted movements, like if you are actually engaging in self-defense, that you're hitting hard. So you have to keep training and practicing to get used to that. But it's okay to be angry in these situations.
But there's one more.
Yeah.
So that moment you kick his ass, right?
Yeah.
And after he remember your face, and he's following you after you kick his ass. So he will do something bad next time. So it will have worse situation. You know?
Yeah. So these are a lot of like what ifs that you don't necessarily know for sure, but like let's just say worst case scenario, right? Like you leave your purse there, they have your phone, they have your ID, like you have to call the police, right? You have to put in a report. And if you need to avoid that area, like that's what you're gonna have to do, but at least you have your life, right? Like you can easily avoid an area, like you can put in a police report, but I would encourage you to like not worry about like, oh, I'm gonna live in fear, you know, like you have to think about like my life is the most important thing, like I'll deal with everything else later, but I just need to get out of this bad situation first. Yeah.
Thank you.
So a lot of people that I've talked to suggest them to start taking Krav Maga or to take karate, they're first of all afraid for themselves because just in the process of learning you have to get hurt. How would you encourage these people to start to go to that first class you were talking about?
Yeah. So I think once you survive your first class, you're like, I did it, like this is great, you know? But I think there's usually, for me at least, like there's a big adrenaline rush afterwards and you're like, wow, like I didn't know my body was capable of doing that. So I think once you go once and you see like, oh, it wasn't so bad, like I'm fine, you know, it will hopefully encourage you to keep going. But I would highly recommend not quitting like after the first time. Like again, I did Taekwondo for maybe about 3 or 4 years before I did Krav Maga, and I cried like after my first class because it was just scary. You know, I've never been hit that hard before, and there was a woman who like put me in a headlock and she was like dragging me around class, but I felt really strong afterwards. I was just like, wow, like, if someone did this to me in real life, like I would actually know what to do now. So it's gonna take some time, but I think it's very normal to feel scared and to feel uncomfortable. But I would just encourage you to just try. And you can always go with friends too, and like you can talk about your experiences after, but it helps to have like other people that you can talk to about it. That's what I love about my Krav Maga gym. Like we have such a strong community. One of the instructors at Krav Maga Force is actually a female cop. And so she'll talk about her experiences too, like on the job sometimes. So it's just nice to have that community around you.
Hello. So I had a question regarding since there's a lot of cases of being pushed from the back
Yes.
or being hit.
Yeah.
Since it's hard to see that
Yes.
coming, how do you brace yourself?
Yes, so Krav Maga teaches you this as well. So Ashish, since you're up here, can you okay, so we call this move the J-Lo. So if you come behind me, so let's just say I'm walking, you know, you can try and like push me as I'm walking. So, but you want to like shove me into a wall. So let's keep your hands on me. So usually in this situation, we call this the J-Lo because you're gonna turn and it's like, it's this motion. So if you keep your hands on me, like you're gonna wanna turn and hold, and then you wanna keep pushing this person and use their own momentum to throw them into a wall, and then from there you can just keep running away. But let's just say like, so if you come back behind me again, let's just say, they're grabbing onto you, so maybe grab my shoulders, yeah. So from here, it's similar type of motion, but you'd want to grab this person and grab their clothes, bring them down, and then knee, push. But so in this situation though, you have to get used to the sensation of like if someone's coming up behind you, that you naturally react to do that, rather than just like letting them push you forward. But a part of the JLo too is also bracing yourself so that you're not stumbling this way. If you're stabilizing yourself, it allows you to spin and do that movement. So it's a lot about stabilizing, knowing that you can sense that someone is coming up behind you, and then just paying attention, like if there's a wall in front of you, letting them use their own momentum to throw them forward. But again, think about those multiple attacks, like if you have to grab them, knee them, push, and then run away.
Can you do it quickly?
Yeah, sure. So if he's pushing me, and just keep your hands on me. So rather than one push, like trying to like push me into a wall, so keep going. So from here, it would just be pushing. And then if you do it again, I can hold you. So grab my shoulders while you're pushing. Yeah, so push, and then from here, you can grab their clothes, bring them down, knee, and then push. Yeah.
So I have a question about those classes.
Yeah.
So like in those classes, do you actually like hit your classmates,
Oh,
like
yeah.
for real?
Not in the face, like we have pads. So like that's why I brought, my kick shield today. So like we will hold these for our classmates. So like I will hold and like Ashish will kick me, right? Or it's like when we do knees, I'll go like this and then my partner will like knee me in the stomach. Or we do like roundhouse kicks, or we do punches. So we always have a pad, but there are sparring classes that are more advanced. So in that situation, there's no pads, but you'll wear like mouth guards. Some people wear like shin guards. So that's like a sparring class. It's a little bit more advanced. We also have a weapons class as well. So if you're interested in like what to do with like a bat, or if we have like knife classes, but those are all much more advanced. We also have women's workshops as well on Sundays. So if you're specifically interested in like a series like mugging or kidnapping or anything like that, you can go to a women's workshop. So there's lots of different things that you can try.
You kind of answered it already, but I was interested in doing martial arts, but I found that there are a lot of spaces are very like masculine, and it's hard for me to find a space where I'm comfortable with like people like me, like feminine and like smaller. Where can I find like you mentioned the women's on Sunday? Are there more groups or workshops that are centered around non-men?
So that's the only one that I know of that's just women only, is those women's workshops. But one thing I would encourage you to think about is that, and they always tell us this in class too, like you aren't always going to be attacked by a woman, right? Like you are unfortunately going to get attacked by a man sometimes. And like if you really truly want to know what to do in these situations, you have to feel what it feels like to get hit by a man. It's scary. But once you feel more comfortable, maybe you can start in the women's workshops, and like especially having a female instructor, like she'll understand some of the things that you might be concerned about. When you feel ready, you can try going to some of these classes that are mixed men and women. I would say 95% of the time there will be another woman in class, and it might just be the two of you that get paired up and you can do this type of stuff together in a class full of other men. But eventually, like, you should try and practice, like, what it's like to have a male partner. But again, check out Krav Maga Force. Every month on a Sunday, they have women's workshops.
Thank you.
What do you think about like carrying pepper spray?
That's another good question. Do you have any?
I used to in college. My parents sent me off with it in college, and then I was like, this is at the bottom of my bag. And then I once accidentally sprayed it on the wall because I was just trying it. And, you know, I was like, this is nonsense. Like, it's not, I would rather like carry my keys between my fingers or something like that because I just felt like not prepared with the pepper spray.
Yeah.
And if I was gonna use it, I might mess it up and like, you know, so.
Yeah, so I'm curious, how many people have pepper spray? Okay, almost everyone. How many people have actually used it before? Okay, one person. And so that, just looking at the demographics here, right? So the majority of women who have pepper spray have actually never used it before. And so to your point, they'll have it on their keys, they'll have it in their bag, but how often do you have it aimed and like ready to use?
Yeah.
Like, do you know the distance? Is it windy that day? You know, like it's a great tool to have if you know how it works and you've actually used it before. So if it makes you feel better to have it, like absolutely have it on you, but try it, you know, like on a non-windy day, like spray it in the grass or something, like see how far it shoots. And if you feel unsafe, make sure that you have your thumb like on it when you're like at the subway and it's ready to go if you need to use it. But we always say, you know, the best self-defense is like your own hands and your legs. With the keys thing, same thing, right? It's like if you have your keys between your hands, then do you actually know what to do in that situation? Would you be comfortable stabbing someone with them? So some things to think about. I also have a lot of friends who have knives on them, but again, like could that person take it and use it on you? So just think about these things if you ever want to have weapons.
You would not suggest carrying that with you.
You can if it makes you feel safer, but just make sure that you've tried it before and that you actually know how to use it when you're faced in a bad situation or you're tense, and when you're actually walking in an area where you feel unsafe, like have it ready and out so that you're not like, oh my gosh, like and then looking through your purse, you know, where you can't find it or it's in your pockets or anything like that.
Do you think a sound alarm is helpful?
I do think it's helpful because in these situations, if you're by yourself and no one can hear you getting attacked, it's not likely that someone will come to your aid. But it can also aggravate the situation if you're just standing there and like your alarm goes off, but then what? You know, it's like this person might try and like attack you quickly and like run away. So it's helpful, but also make sure that you're doing other things too. Yeah.
I also heard like the best ways to deal with like a pickpocket situation is just to like give them your stuff.
Always, yeah, it's always best to, your belongings are just things, right? You can always replace them, but you can't replace your life. So give whatever they want, purse, it's not worth fighting for it.
What about negotiation?
Yeah.
So when I was in Las Vegas, there's 4 African American men. They went to the elevator. So from beginning, they want to take the money I earned from the casino, like $29. They want to buy something. After I just negotiation, they said, they didn't pick it.
Yeah.
So I think from beginning, if you talk to them really funny way, maybe they will not even do anything bad to you.
I like your spirit a lot. I mean, I think this is where like the intuition kicks in, right? You know, if you feel like, oh, okay, you know, maybe they're just joking around, or you know, it feels fun. Like if you feel like you can, you know, talk about it, that's fine. But when you start to feel unsafe, like that's when like you should start to listen to that and like. Again, totally not worth money, anything. It's like not worth it. You just need to get out of the situation.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Natasha.